You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, one person is dead following a shooting aboard an Amtrak train over the weekend.
Chilly holiday morning means the snow is going to stay on the ground for some time, but eventually we get a little warm up before a midweek cold front. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we meet a teenage girl who wants to become the youngest pilot ever to fly solo around the world. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. One person is dead after a shooting aboard an Amtrak train in Missouri, and the suspect is still on the run. Police say the shooting happened Friday night while the train was stopped at the Lee Summit train station. Officers say the train left the station after the shooting and continued to its next stop with the wounded person still on board. Police got the initial call for the shooting at 9:15 p.m. after the train reached Independence. EMS crews declared the victim dead when they arrived. Officers say the suspect was a passenger on the train and got off the train in Lee Summit. It's unclear why the train kept moving after the shooting. University of Kansas suspends 2 fraternities for hazing earlier this month, but officials don't plan to share their investigation with police. Phi Gamma Delta and Phi Delta Theta were both suspended from campus for 5 years because of the incidents at the university officials found, which included assaults, sleep deprivation, forced workouts, destruction of pledges property, and retaliation for reporting the behavior to university officials. Authorities in Delaware County arrest a man with outstanding warrants involving stolen property and federal charges pending. Gerald Starr was taken into custody on outstanding warrants from the Cherokee Nation. According to Sheriff James Beck, Starr became a person of interest earlier this month when he allegedly stole a trailer. Authorities searched his property at the time, but nothing was found. Following a second search warrant, authorities located an item of interest in Starr's storage unit and alerted federal agencies. Officials say they located Starr in a stolen travel trailer at an RV park in Oklahoma following a third search warrant. Authorities say they found approximately $70,000 worth of stolen items, with more federal charges coming. Well, winter storm whiteouts always bring out the hunt for 2 key food staples. Experts explain why. Bread and milk, of course, become the sources of life in weather food panics, and experts say that's because they are the backbone of our cooking and diet in the U.S. Other non-U.S. cultures base their diets differently, but Americans are conditioned to get them because they're perishable and they're not stocked long. Experts say to avoid food panic, have 2 weeks of non-perishable supplies on hand and make emergency preparedness kits for homes and vehicles. Joplin Public Library holds a special presentation over the weekend. It's called City of Hope, Resurrection City, and the 1968 Poor People's Campaign. The poster exhibit honors Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final vision for all Americans to be equal. The exhibit examines the Poor People's Campaign, which drew thousands to Washington to demand social reform while living in a tent city called Resurrection City. It features 18 posters said to help people engage with the historical and present-day relevance. City of Hope is on display now until February 28th. Well, this weekend marked the anniversary of the most famous emergency landing in modern aviation history. Saturday was 13 years since the miracle on the Hudson took place. On January 15, 2009, Captain Chelsea Sully Sullenberger was flying a U.S. Airways flight when it hit a flock of birds and was damaged. Sullenberger went on to do what many considered to be impossible and successfully landed the plane in the Hudson River. 155 people were evacuated from the plane and rescued by boat.
13 years.
It's hard to believe it's been that long. I mean, they've had time to make a movie about it.
Yeah, but you're right, it doesn't seem like it's been 13. I mean, I remember it vividly. I remember being in the newsroom when it happened.
We were both here.
Wow. And just the biggest thing I remember about that day was not only the astonishment as the details surfaced, but as the AP news alerts kept coming out saying that everyone was safe. Because you're sitting, and I'll peel back the curtain here of the newsroom for people, and I don't think it'll come as any surprise. It's, Tanya and I being in a newsroom for so long, oftentimes you click on that AP news alert and you're like, okay, what new details and how bad is it going to be? And with each one coming in, it was everybody's safe. And you're like, oh my gosh, what an amazing story. Wow, 13 years. All right, frozen tower camera over 7th and Rangeline. This is usually where we check out our traffic. Now, with it being Martin Luther King Junior Day holiday. Probably not going to be as busy, so we're not really missing a whole lot. And we've got a clean Skywatch storm tracker. We just need a little sunshine to help melt off that ice from the tower cam. And eventually we will, because we've got high pressure hanging out here to our west that really is going to provide us with 48 hours of great January weather. This is actually that same system that we had Friday and Saturday. It picked up a whole lot more energy, though, as it swept through the southern portion and made its way to the mid-Atlantic. And now they're looking at anywhere from 12 to 18 inches of snow as that thing progresses. We really did kind of luck out as far as, remember that thing started up here and then made that big U-shape all the way through. Our current conditions over 7th and Rangeline, it's still cold outside though. Snow's not going to go anywhere for a while, 25 degrees. Also too, be very, very careful because we did have some spots that refroze overnight. You know, you get those spots on the road that with enough traffic on them, they begin to melt just a little bit, but yeah, they're freezing back over because we're substantially below the 32 degree mark on this Monday morning. We'll eventually get up in the mid 40s. Very seasonable. In fact, we hit that 45. That's right on par for our average for January the 17th. Future track will show us, how about 50s tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to be delightful, but now we've got big changes coming on Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, Gulf moisture kicks in, cold front drops down, begins with rain early Wednesday morning, colder temperatures below freezing up to the north. And then we see a little bit of this. We do not like to see that pink right there. That's an indicator of freezing rain. 7-day forecast. It drops us into the teens for both Wednesday and Thursday night, and then we're back into the 40s for Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks, Michael. Up next, the U.S. Surgeon General says the Omicron peak likely will not happen for weeks. And later, we've got a rundown of the week's newest movie and music releases. Stick around, you don't want to miss that. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Area Hearing has been serving the four-state area for over 50 years.
Health officials in Beijing report their first Omicron case. The patient has not had recent travel history outside the city. That's according to the Chinese government. Authorities have sealed off the neighborhood where the person lives and have begun mass testing for the population. Beijing is scheduled to hold the Winter Olympics in less than 3 weeks. So far, 7 cities in China have reported Omicron cases. Americans can now order free COVID-19 tests. The White House says it has opened the federal website covidtest.gov to place the orders. Supplies will be limited to 4 tests per household. The tests will ship within 7 to 12 days of ordering. Also, people with private health insurance will be reimbursed for the full cost of buying tests from Saturday onward. President Biden recently announced he will purchase an additional 500 million at-home tests for distribution. New COVID-19 cases are skyrocketing. They're also leveling out. It all depends where you live. Just like with other waves, Omicron is hitting different parts of the country at different times. And as Britt Conway reports, U.S. Surgeon General says a national peak likely will not happen for weeks.
Let me paint a picture for you of my shift. We were down 10 nurses in the emergency department. We had a few dozen patients waiting for hours at a time, and the patients just kept coming. It is so disheartening to have been through surge after surge of these patients. Normally, after a flood, you rebuild. We have never had the chance to do that, and it has only gotten worse.
COVID-19 is still spreading. Hospitals are straining, and Omicron is hitting them with a 1-2 punch. More cases, fewer staff. Some are getting COVID-19, others are getting burnt out and leaving. But this virus isn't leaving. In some parts of the Northeast, cases have plateaued or even declined. Still,
the challenge is that the entire country is not moving at the same pace. The Omicron wave started later in other parts of the country, so we shouldn't expect a national peak in the next coming days. Next few weeks will be tough.
The CDC says the country is averaging more than 780,000 new cases a day, despite issues with testing access. But the White House is pushing to increase access. Starting Wednesday, you'll be able to request free rapid antigen tests at covidtest.gov, 4 per household. Experts say it's time to double down on what we know works.
That's why we want everyone to get vaccinated, to get boosted as soon as they can.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Scottish researchers are highlighting how critical it is for pregnant women to get vaccinated for COVID-19. New study of more than 87,000 pregnancies found preterm births, stillbirths, and newborn deaths were more common among women with COVID at the end of their pregnancy. The majority of complications were in women who had not been vaccinated. People who use e-cigarettes and test positive for COVID are more likely to have symptoms compared to people who do not vape. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic found e-cigarette users experience more symptoms such as headaches, muscle aches, and pain. They also found e-cigarette users, along with tobacco smokers who had COVID-19, made more trips to the ER. Well, 2016 called and it wants its viral earworm back. The video for Baby Shark has now reached 10 billion views on YouTube. Now think about that number for a second. It means on average, every person on Earth has watched it at least once, except for Michael and me. Of course, the people who viewed it 10,000 times throw that calculus off. It's a testament to the enduring popularity of the kids' song that can be described as brilliantly catchy and maddeningly annoying. There you go, depending who you ask. CEO of
Whoa. Watch this next line that you read here.
The Korean company that created Baby Shark is celebrating how the song has connected people around the world. Baby Shark has been the most viewed video on YouTube since it toppled Despacio in November of 2020. I'm not sure, do you remember that one, Michael? It peaked at number 32 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts on January 12th, 2019.
I am so glad that you brought up the name Pinkfong. I am actually entranced by Baby Shark.
Oh.
Because of a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Wright, who is in the midst of a copyright lawsuit against Pinkfong, saying it's his song.
Ooh.
According to Wright, it's a marvelous interview, and I would love to tell you where I heard it and give them proper credit, and I cannot remember it off the top of my head. Wright claims that he was a camp counselor in his youth, and there is a different version of Baby Shark that is popularly chanted at camps, but it involves like the shark takes a limb and something like that. That being said, he wanted to come up with a kid-friendly version. He's a DJ, and you know, he goes to birthday parties and whatnot, right?
Okay.
And so he claims he came up with the current version of Baby Shark, and Pinkfong and Smart Study, a Korean company, stole it from him. He has filed a copyright lawsuit, and that is why I am entranced with Baby Shark. I want to see how this is all resolved, because I love the fact that that was in the script.
Does it ever get stuck in your head, the song?
We don't know that. That's up for.
I don't know if you can hear the song at home. We can't in the studio because our mics are on. But is there audio for this music playing behind us? I don't think so. Okay.
Let's hope not.
Good, because I didn't want to like ruin everybody's morning.
Oh, Tanya, Decoder Ring, folks. If you want to find that Jonathan Wright interview, the podcast is called Decoder Ring.
Okay.
I want to give credit where credit is due, because they do a marvelous job of breaking down the Baby Shark phenomena and the lawsuit. So once again, the podcast is called Decoder Ring.
There you
and
go.
the woman who's the creator and writer is just, she is so talented. Uber talented. All right, let's take a live look outside of Television City, where we still have the snow on the ground, and our tower cam at 7th and Range Line still frozen solid. That's because it's only 25 degrees right now. 26 in Nevada. Let's roll 29 in Independence and 21 in Miami. Nobody is still holding on to 30. Chinook got there earlier and then took a drop. Factor in the little northwesterly breeze that we have, and wind chills dipping down into the teens. Our lowest one right now looks like Grove and Jay, all the way down to 15. But big high pressure hanging out to our west and our south is going to result in a whole lot of blue sky. Watches and warnings, none for us, even with these cold temperatures. Everything dominates the mid-Atlantic up to the northeastern portion of the United States, because they're still in the midst of that storm system that we got Friday into Saturday. They've got another additional, say 12 to 18 inches of snow that's yet to drop on them. For us, it's sunshine, and we need it. And we need to melt that tower cam, hopefully by the noon hour there. Mid-40s this afternoon with a little southwesterly breeze, so actually see those arrows do about a 180 on us. Future track for today, back down to the 30s tonight. Tomorrow's going to be great. Sunshine early on, little cloud cover. Sun will penetrate that. We'll get up into the 50s tomorrow. Now, Tuesday night, Wednesday, here we go. Massive cold front drops down. Gulf moisture forms right over us. Now it starts off as rain. That's not too bad, but look at the big change in temperatures right there. So you can tell that where that cold front begins to push. And then here's what we need to pay attention to. That pink that pops up right there, that's an indicator of some freezing rain. Now it's really, the majority of the 4 states is going to stay dry. It's really going to be down southern, southwest Missouri right there. And then get ready for a cold snap. Look at those overnight lows, 13 and 17 for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The epic.
Just a little quick update so I can give credit where credit's due. The host and writer of the Slate podcast, Dakota Ring, is Willa Paskin. That's who I was mentioning earlier. Is so talented. Flying around the world is not something most teenagers can say they've ever done, but Ashley Strohmeyer has more on the brave young woman looking to break a world record, aiming to become the youngest female to fly a solo trip around the earth.
It's a dream I've had my entire life.
One teenager is soaring to new heights and preparing to not only fulfill her dreams, but also break records. 19-year-old Zara Rutherford is expected to become the youngest female in history to fly a solo trip around the world. She's set to earn the title Monday when she plans to land her plane in her native country of Belgium, where her journey first began back in August. If all goes well, she'll have flown 32,000 miles, covering 5 continents and 52 countries. In order for her trip to qualify as a flight around the world, Rutherford needed to reach 2 countries on opposite sides of the planet, choosing Colombia and Indonesia. It may seem like a daunting task to most people, but some say flying is in her blood. Both of Rutherford's parents are also pilots and encouraged her to pursue her passion.
This crazy idea, I always thought it would be impossible. But then I decided, if I don't tell anyone about it, then it's never going to happen. So I told my parents, and straight away they were like, yes, let's do this.
But this mission isn't just for Rutherford, who says she hopes to encourage the next generation of girls to take to the sky.
I'm hoping to encourage girls and women to hopefully also go into aviation and STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Rutherford will soon trade in her plane for textbooks. She's preparing to start college this year and dreams of one day becoming an astronaut. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Shasta Ways is currently the record holder for the youngest female pilot to fly a solo trip around the world. Ways earned that title at the age of 30 back in 2017. Mason Andrews became the youngest male pilot to do the same in 2018. Also a wonderful update from our producer Ron saying that Zara Rutherford, she wanted to squeeze in a little airspace and thought about actually flying over North Korea, and her team told her, Zara, not an option, not an option. So you're glad to know that you're 19, doing fearless things. Good to know she's got a team behind her saying, let's back off and let's be safe about it. We'll be back in honor of this morning's 4-state hero right after this.
Why is it when someone...
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, Arthur James from Girard, Kansas. He served in Australia, New Guinea, Dutch East Indies from 1942 to 1945. He won numerous medals during his service. To Arthur James, we thank you, today's 4-state hero. Well, DVD, digital, and music releases this week include an animated sequel, a retro psychological thriller, 1980s reboot, and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the list of new releases.
Wait a minute.
Topping the list of what's new in home entertainment, the animated sequel, The Addams Family 2, follows the popular creepy and kooky clan hitting the road in their haunted camper for a trip across America. Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie star in Last Night in Soho. The retro psychological thriller centers around an aspiring fashion designer who mysteriously connects with a young singer from the 1960s. In the film adaptation The Dry, Eric Bana plays a federal police agent called back to his hometown to investigate a friend's murder.
Do you know where the bank manager is?
Sam Worthington, Machine Gun Kelly, and Thomas Jane star in The Last Son. The Western thriller is set in 19th century Sierra Nevada and follows an outlaw attempting to end his evil family line.
Need the Ruby and the kid brought back here.
Neil McDonough plays a hitman seeking revenge and on the hunt for a teenager who witnessed his brother's murder in the action thriller Red Stone. From the small screen, Season 5 of the CW drama Riverdale, as well as the network's reboot of the 1980 series Dynasty Season 4, plus the 5th season of the TNT drama Animal Kingdom, and NBC's musical special Annie Live, featuring Taraji P. Henson, Harry Connick Jr., and Selena Smith. For music fans, Kiefer Sutherland releases his third album, Bloor Street. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, Academy Award winners team up for a bold take on Shakespeare's Macbeth. And Border Patrol agents prepare for the latest migrant caravan coming from the southern border. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Dear Winter. The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. University of Kansas suspends 2 fraternities for hazing earlier this month, but officials don't plan to share their investigation with police. Phi Gamma Delta and Phi Delta Theta were both suspended from campus for 5 years because of the incidents university officials found, which included assaults, sleep deprivation, forced workouts, destruction of pledges, property, and retaliation for reporting the behavior to university officials. One person is dead after a shooting aboard an Amtrak train in Missouri, and the suspect is still on the run. Police say the shooting happened Friday night while the train was stopped at the Lee Summit train station. Officers said the train left the station after the shooting and continued to its next stop with the wounded person still on board. Police got the initial call for the shooting at 9:15 p.m. after the train reached Independence. EMS crews declared the victim dead when they arrived. Officers say the suspect was a passenger on the train and got off the train in Lee Summit. It's unclear why the train kept moving after the shooting. Officers in Delaware County arrested a man with outstanding warrants involving stolen property and federal charges pending. Gerald Starr was taken into custody on outstanding warrants from the Cherokee Nation. According to Sheriff James Beck, Starr became a person of interest earlier this month when he allegedly stole a trailer. Authorities searched his property at the time. Nothing was found. Following a second search warrant, authorities located an item of interest in Starr's storage unit and alerted federal agencies. Officials say they located Starr in a stolen travel trailer at an RV park in Oklahoma following a third search warrant. Authorities they found approximately $70,000 worth of stolen items and more federal charges on the way. Over the weekend, the Joplin Public Library held a special presentation. It's called City of Hope, Resurrection City and the 1968 Poor People's Campaign. Poster exhibit honors Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final vision for all Americans to be equal. The exhibit examines the Poor People's Campaign, which drew thousands to Washington to demand social reform while living in a tent city called Resurrection City. Features 18 posters said to help people engage with the historical and present-day relevance. City of Hope is on display now until February 28th. In honor of what would have been Betty White's 100th birthday, January 17th, there's a social media call to donate to animal charities in her name. We spoke with one organization White was involved with for decades about her passion for working with animals and this way of paying tribute to the late star. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Life is divided absolutely in half show business and half animal business.
Betty White dedicated much of her life working for the welfare of animals. One organization she was involved with was American Humane, as volunteer and board member.
Betty White was worked with American Humane almost 75 years. So half of our organization's existence, we were so fortunate because Betty White has been part of our history. And I had the privilege and pleasure of working with Betty White for 12 years.
White also received their National Humanitarian Medal and Legacy Award.
We honored Betty for her lifetime of commitment to protecting animals. And let me tell you, she was the real deal. When she met an animal, they instantaneously bonded with her.
A social media campaign called the Betty White Challenge is inspiring many to honor her legacy by donating $5 to animal charities on what would have been her 100th birthday, January 17th. Dr. Robin Ganzert says when she heard of it, she thought it's a great way to pay it forward.
Your favorite one, or American Humane, as we were one of her favorite charities, and recognize that we can do a lot with $5. We can feed animals, we can give medical care, we can continue our rescue efforts, and all of this we can do in Betty White's memory to pay it forward for her legacy of compassion, kindness, and love.
American Humane also works with companion animals through their Pups for Patriots program.
We serve veterans with PTS and TBI and give them a service dog is so life-changing. And Betty told me that that was one of her favorite programs as well.
Go to AmericanHumane.org for information on getting involved or donating. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
The Chicago Zoological Society, which manages Brookfield Zoo, is happy to announce the birth of 6 Asian small-clawed otter pups. Since their birth, the utterly adorable and playful pups have been growing and bonding behind the scenes with their parents, Pearl and Audie. Guests will be able to see the 2 male and 4 female pups exploring their habitat in a tropic world, Asia, once they are eating solid foods and have become proficient swimmers. Pearl and Audie, who are both 4 years old, are first-time parents, but they each have experience with helping to raise their siblings at other accredited zoos prior to arriving at Brookfield Zoo. They're very attentive to their offspring, Mom making sure all the pups are nursing and Dad bringing his mate fish and introducing fish to the pups, even though they haven't yet begun to eat solid food.
Yeah, introducing fish. Is that what the kids call it these days? It's called, yeah.
Otter pairs remain together for life, and both parents help to raise the young. Among a few other things that Michael
The lessons that they
knows
instill
about.
upon their youngins. Very dangerous animals, folks. Live look outside of Television City, where we welcome the glow cloud on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. Oh, look at that bird flying by. Looked like it was going to come get me. We're starting to see a little bit of a melt at the tower cam at 7th and Range Line. Ice beginning to recede just a little bit down there. Got to remember, that thing's elevated too. So it's much colder up there than what it is at ground level, which is at 25 degrees. We've got 24 right now in Pittsburgh. But look at this. We've already topped out from where we were yesterday. Yeah, we only hit 28. At Joplin Regional Airport. We talk about those wind chills and what it feels like, down into the teens for the most part. Don't even see many mid-20s on the board, so layer up. Now the nice thing is this high pressure that's hanging off to our west and down to our south will provide us with plenty of sunshine today. Trough of the jet stream still creating havoc for the northeast, as they have an additional 12 to 18 inches of snow before it's said and done. And yes, that is the same system that was upon us for Friday into Saturday. We'll make it up into the mid-40s. Very seasonable for this time of year, just where we'd expect to be, and even a little bit warmer on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we'll be able to throw up some 50s here on the board. Then the big changes develop Tuesday night, Wednesday morning as the cold front pushes down from the north. We see some rain begin to formulate over us. Most places are going to be dry. Central, down to about 44, going to stay as rain. But now, as we work through Saturday morning or Wednesday morning, we begin to see a little freezing rain in the pink that shows up. That is the last thing that we want to see. Now, it's not widespread by any means, but I want everybody in that section of our viewing area ready for Wednesday morning's commute and Wednesday's drive home. Also, too, overnight lows in the teens. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. We're talking birthdays. Of course, the third Monday of every January marks the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a federally observed holiday. Work of Dr. King had seismic effects on people across the nation. And also, too, there's Evelyn Zexer's birthday. She was looking forward to receiving some cards for her 102nd birthday. She got something else entirely different as the town of Alma, Kansas came together, marked the day with a parade, named the day in honor of her. Needless to say, the outpouring moved Evelyn in a most special occasion, and to top it off, she received more than 100 birthday cards. Our question for you this morning is, how do you like to celebrate your birthday party? And 51% of you say, hey, just give me a nice meal with friends and family, and 30% of you say, relax at home. Only 13% chime in with either presents or a party. You can take part each and every morning There's our Facebook page or KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Denzel Washington earned a Best Actor nomination from the Screen Actors Guild this week for his performance in The Tragedy of Macbeth. Our man Rick DeMiguela talked with Washington about his role.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Denzel Washington delivers an awards-worthy performance in Joel Cohen's The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand?
I had to say those lines, I had to remember them, and so I had to practice over and over and over and over and over. And it was fun, you know. It felt like we were doing a play.
I'll fight till from my bones my flesh be hacked. Give me mine armor.
It is not needed yet.
I'll put it on. Send out more horses, skirt the country round, hang those that talk of fear. Give me mine armor!
The film was shot in black and white, with Cohen using extreme close-ups and framing.
Joel is real specific about where the camera is and why. He's just a master, and it makes the actor's job easy. You know, for me anyway, it's just, you know, just worry about myself and make sure I'm prepared, and he'll take care of the rest.
Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped.
It was just awesome to be able to add to the canon. There have been many different portrayals of Macduff on stage and on film, and to be able to offer this side of Macduff, this version, he represents the goodness in this play. He represents morality and all that is virtuous.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick DeMiguela.
Be right back with more consumer news, including Netflix raising their prices again right after this.
It's a touchdown!
Milk, bread, meat, and other basic goods wiped clean from many grocery store shelves across America, and stores are struggling to quickly restock while shoppers grow increasingly frustrated. And now severe weather in the forecast across much of the eastern half of the country threatens to make the problem even worse. Isabel Rosales reports on the devastating blows to the industry, from coronavirus to transportation problems, plus the timeline to an expected return to normal.
Sleet, ice, and heavy snow. Another major winter storm set to slam into much of the eastern U.S. Raising alarms, it may pile on more setbacks for grocers. In the produce business for 25 years, Alfredo Larios can't find produce.
It's hard right now. I never seen this happen. This is new to us.
It's his business, keeping grocery stores and restaurants stocked.
We feel terrible because we don't know what the future what's going to happen.
We're talking about the probability of...
Zachkin Oskul is a supply chain expert. He insists while there is enough food, it's not all getting to stores. The Omicron variant delivering a devastating blow to an already stretched thin workforce.
People are either quarantining or they are basically testing positive for this.
And Americans are changing up how they eat.
Some folks are just deciding to eat more at home.
And dangerous weather is crippling major travel routes. Last week, a backup on I-95 left truck drivers stranded for almost a whole day.
I think I-95 being shut down for 20 hours is pretty bad.
Jose Sandoval has been trucking goods for a decade.
I start at 4 in the morning. I go home at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock because I still not finished my route.
He sees the shortage of drivers like him as dire.
That's one thing, that we need people to work, but they don't want to work.
It's not just grocery stores struggling. Samantha Segura's juice business is booming for now.
It's a new year, new me.
But with produce harder to come by,
they're not bringing in the products quick enough.
Her costs are going up.
Before, I used to get a box of grapefruit for like $13, and the price went up to $25 or $35 sometimes.
Oskul predicts some disruptions from this weekend's severe weather.
Again, I want us to tell the consumers to be a little bit more patient.
But forecast shoppers will see relief in the spring. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
If you want to keep streaming, you're going to have to shell out a bit more money, and that's if you're using Netflix anyway. The streaming giant is once again raising prices in the United States and Canada. The subscription price for the standard plan in the U.S. went up to $15.49. Basic plan now costs $9.99. In Canada, the price for Netflix's standard plan went up to $16.49 Canadian. premium plan went up $2 to $20.99. There was no change in the basic plan. In a statement, Netflix said in part, quote, "We are updating our prices so that we can continue to offer a wide variety of quality entertainment options." It was identical to the statement it released the last time it raised prices in October of 2020. The company's stock rose about 2% following the news. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Come see all the stream.
Another migrant caravan is on the move, a potential cause of worry for Border Patrol agents, with officials having experienced more than 1.6 million migrant run-ins from September of 2020 to September of 2021. That's 4 times the amount than the previous fiscal year. Chris DeMeo with more on the story.
Our dream is to be in the United States.
The first migrant caravan of 2022 departing Honduras this weekend, with hundreds of mostly Central American migrants marching onward towards the U.S. Officials say the group originally contained roughly 600 members, but split into slightly smaller groups to not attract as much attention while entering neighboring Guatemala.
There is an 80% chance that we can get through. Only God knows if we can get through.
But the journey north is already coming to a grinding halt for several members apprehended by Guatemalan police while crossing over the border. Officials say dozens were deported back to Honduras before they could continue marching. This comes as some immigration support groups are urging against caravan travel.
Previous ventures have not worked. They have not had good results. In that sense, the dangers are bigger than the possibility of achieving the much-desired American dream.
Meanwhile, some new policies in the U.S. are coming under fire for assisting undocumented immigrants. California Governor Gavin Newsom is proposing $2.2 billion to help fund health care for low-income residents, including people living here illegally.
We are positioned with this budget to be able to deliver on what we've been promoting: universal health care for all, regardless of pre-existing condition, regardless of the ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status. We believe in this principle.
And in the Big Apple, more than 800,000 non-citizens could vote in local New York City elections starting in 2024. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Gorgeous start outside of Television City, where the sun illuminating the ground that's still snow-covered here as we sit at 7 minutes until the top of the hour. Still waiting on that ice to recede off the tower cam at 7th and Range Line. We've kind of just been eyeballing that, laughing at it. 25 degrees is where we stand right now over Joplin, with temperatures ranging anywhere from, say about 21 to 27. So definite chill in the air. That being said, we've already equaled what we got up to at Joplin Regional Airport yesterday. We only topped out at 28 degrees. As we roll through our holiday Monday, we'll have plenty of sunshine and get up into the mid-40s, right on par, very seasonable for this time of year. How about 50s on Tuesday? It's going to be delightful, even with a little sun or a little cloud cover. Sun's going to be able to penetrate that, lift us up into the 50s. Now, the big change Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, cold front combined with rain, especially to the south. And then we see a little freezing rain emerge along and south of I-44, and then get ready for 2 frigid overnights, 13 and 17 on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Northeast is in for a stormy Monday. Winter weather could affect millions in several states after snow, ice, rain, and winds pound parts of the South yesterday. Thousands of homes and businesses in North Carolina and Georgia were left without power and driving treacherous throughout the region. For the third straight day, new COVID infections nationwide topped 800,000, with more than 21,000 patients admitted to hospitals every day. Nearly every American now lives in a high-risk area. Authorities continue to investigate Saturday's hostage situation at a Texas synagogue. The siege ended after the FBI rescued 3 people. 44-year-old suspect Malik Faisal Ikram from the UK was killed. A 4th hostage was released earlier in the standoff. Lasted about 10 hours. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Chilly start, still waiting to get up to the freezing point. We don't even have anybody that's made it to 30 as of yet. Get up into the mid-40s. Look, it's going to be a gorgeous day. A whole lot of sunshine, not too windy. It's pretty hard to beat. And then overnight back down to the 30s, wind chills in the 20s for our Tuesday morning. Speaking of Tuesday afternoon, we're going to be up in the 50s. That's hard to beat. Then we get ready for a big old-fashioned January cold front. Not only that, we combo that with some Gulf moisture. Wednesday morning rain, a chance for some freezing rain in our far southern counties, and we're stuck in the 20s on Wednesday and Thursday.
Although today is the federal Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, January 17th also marks a less reverent occasion. On this date more than a century ago, Prohibition began with the Volstead Act, outlawing the sale of alcohol across the U.S. And on that day, a small town in Iowa decided to fight back by making a high-caliber bootleg whiskey known as Templeton Rye. That's how January 17th became celebrated as National Bootleggers Day. Coincidentally, January 17th is also the birthday of Al Capone, who would make Templeton Rye the center of his bootlegging empire. So the Bootleggers Society invites you to raise a glass to remember a time when doing so was against the law.
Shout out to all of you Boardwalk Empire fans as well. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.